welcome back to this dividend video series. If you're new to this series, what I did is I invested $10,000 in the stock market, and I did so in dividend stocks, and I set those dividends to reinvest. And each month, I take my YouTube earnings and invest that into more dividend stocks. So as you can see here, these decimal places among the quantity for my stocks are those fractional shares that are accumulated by reinvesting those dividends. So let's head over to our YouTube analytics page to see how much we earned in the month of April. So heading over to my channel analytics page on YouTube, you can see that for the month of April, I made about $580.40. So let's go ahead and add that amount to our monthly tracker spreadsheet. Let's type in the month of May and then $580.40. And now we're just going to see the portfolio value for the month of May on the 15th. So going to my TD Ameritrade profile page, and because the 15th occurred on the weekend, the stock market's not open then, so I'm going to take the value, that closing value from the 16th, which was $12,948.72. So we're going to take that value and plug it into our spreadsheet. $12,948.72. Go ahead and save this and head over to our Jupyter notebook. So here we are in our Jupyter notebook. We're going to need to rerun all of these cells since we filled out some new data. So rerunning the imports, executing that second cell, which reads our monthly Excel tracker file. We're going to see that May now pops up. Then let's see our gains. Remember last month we were at $495 for our gains. Now, we're only at about $294, but we're still in the positives. So let's look at that percent growth, which we calculated in that previous video. All we need to do now, though, is rerun this cell to get our new calculations. And there we have it. We're at about 2.32 or 2.33%. And let's go ahead and plot our portfolio value so we can see the trend. And there we have it. Overall increasing, which makes sense because we're adding to our portfolio each month. Now, I think what would be helpful is to actually visualize how much we're adding to our portfolio each month. And we're going to do so with a bar plot. We need to know our X and Y values. So our X values, if I want to see how much we're putting into our portfolio each month, our X values are going to represent our month, whereas our Y values are going to represent the amount we're investing. So looking at our pandas data frame, I want the month column to be my X-axis and the input to be my Y-axis. So we're going to use plt dot bar, and again, we want month and then input. So I'm going to take the data frame of the string month. Those are going to be the values in that first column. And then I'm going to go back into my data frame and look at the input. Now if I run this, here we have it. Here's our bar chart. And remember, we invested $10,000 in January, and here are all the other investments. And it is a little difficult on this scale. Since in January we invested $10,000, it's hard to see relatively how different February through May is. So what I'm going to do is change the scale up by capping that Y-axis at a maximum value. Now remember, these values for February, March, April, and May are all less than $1,000. So I think a good number to cap this scale at would be 1,000. So how am I going to go about doing that? And that's simply going to be by setting a Y-axis limit. So right before I actually create that bar chart, what I'm going to do is use plt.ylim, and I need to set the lower limit and the upper limit. So I'm just going to leave the lower limit as 0 and the upper limit as 1,000. Now when we rerun this cell, it's easy to tell that April most money, but I'm averaging, it looks like, roughly around $600. And remember, this is the amount invested in the month that's labeled. So this money that was invested in February was actually earned for January. This money that was invested for March was actually earned in February. So I think it would be a good idea to make a comment of this. And there we go. Just made myself a simple note. And to spice this chart up a bit, make it maybe more appealing, we can add some color to it by changing that default value of blue. Let's go ahead and make it green since these are all positive values. And for even better visualization, we can use a color map. So let's go up to where we have our imports and let's import from matplotlib. We're going to import CM, which stands for color map. Now down here, to make this visualization more meaningful, I would like the bars to represent different colors, like a heat map. I want the bars themselves to be different hues or shades depending on the value. And how we're going to do that is to apply a color map. So up above, we're going to set our color mapping. Now what I first want to do for my color map is create some sort of scale. So I'm going to say that the scale is going to equal, we're going to say plt.normalize, and within this normalized scale, I'm going to set the minimum value and my maximum value. So if I set my minimum value currently as 0 and my maximum value as set that as 1000, since that's where our Y limit is currently, that means that 0 is going to represent 0 and 1000 will represent 1, and these numbers in between will be decimals between 0 and 1. So that's setting up our scale. And we can go ahead and see if we print out the scale, we're going to figure out exactly what it is. You can see it's an object of our matplotlib.colors.normalize. Now, how do we actually use this scale? Well, we're going to use it on our color map. So this is where we're going to set our colors. We're going to say that the colors for our chart are going to equal, remember we want a color map, so that's going to be plt.colormap, so CM, which we imported up above, and we're going to choose which type of color map we want. So feel free to search for different color maps. I'll go ahead and try out plasma for now to see what that's going to look like. And after we type the name of that color map, we're then going to apply our normalized scale. So we're going to say scale, and what exactly are we scaling? Well, the inputs, right? We want those bars to change color according to that Y value. So we're going to scale our Y value, which is the input column in our data frame. Now, all I have to do, as opposed to setting the color to green, we're going to set it to colors. So whatever Y values we're plotting or graphing, they're going to first be normalized based on this scale and then applied within our color map as colors. And when we run this, there you can see our different values. If I wanted to, I could change this scale. Let's up it to 10,000, which is the maximum value on this chart. Because remember, the month of January, investing that initial $10,000, we capped our Y limit at 1,000, so we don't get to see that full span. And we're going to get very different colors. And again, we don't have to necessarily use the plasma color map. Maybe there's a color map that would be more meaningful to our data. Maybe something such as BRG, blue, red, green. So blue are our lower values, red would be those middle values, and green would be our upper values. I personally like jet, which starts at blue and goes all the way through a darker red. And again, to make this more meaningful, I'm going to bump this scale back down from 10,000 as the max to 1,000 for now, so we can really see those changes in our months February through May, and hopefully later down the line, I'll make a little more YouTube revenue and we'll see even more changes. And there we have it. That's how to create a simple bar chart showing the amount we're investing into our portfolio each month. Leave a comment down below about what your favorite color map is. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Happy learning!